In this video, I will show you how to use option buttons in Microsoft Excel to create interactive Excel dashboards to present your project results. Option buttons are a great way to add interactivity to your presentations. You will learn how to allow a user to choose the data they want to see on a chart and how to switch the chart view based on the user's selection. In my example, I use results of a group design project where students had to design StoreMotion extension system. Their design included 3 categories of data, and based on the option button they choose, they can display different categories on their chart as well as on their table. For example, when they choose category number 1, they display sums and manholes. When they choose category number 2, they display another set of data, and their table as well as a chart are updated dynamically. To do this, we will use functions in Excel, filter, if, and index functions. I will also show you how to create chart dynamic titles, and I will show you how to make your time series or chart ranges dynamic to avoid gaps or missing data. So let's start. We will use form controls to create an interactive plot, an interactive table. I already sorted my data. I sorted by category and then by amount within each category. But this is not strictly necessary, and we can still do interactive plot and a table without sorting the data. We will use form controls that are available in the Developer tab. And if the Developer tab is not shown on your tab list, then you need to show this by right-clicking on the ribbon, customize the ribbon, and then selecting the Developer tab and clicking OK. And now we are ready to insert our form controls. We will use form controls that are on this group, which are called controls, and we will insert an option button. Clicking on the option button, I now can insert my first option button. I just insert, and this is option button 1. I will need to rename this option button 1, and option button 1 will be my first category, which is sums and manholes. I have 3 categories, therefore I will need to have 3 buttons. I will just rename it, right click, edit the text, and I will type sums and manholes. And now I can just copy and paste and create 2 more. Copy, Control C and Control V, paste another one, and Control V, paste another one. And now I can rename those as right click, edit text, and this would be pipeline, and last one will be head walls and inlets. Now we need to assign a link or reference cell link to each of these buttons. And to do this, you just right click on this format control, and we need to specify where this cell link will be located. Say, for example, I choose cell F1 and I just click on F1. And I press enter and press OK. And now look at what happens when I check my second one. When I check second one, it's automatically shown that the second button is also linked to this F1 cell. And the same is for button number 3, which is automatically shown as F1 cell. And this is because if I entered more option buttons, this will be the same for others. And this is because on this spreadsheet, it assumes that all these buttons belong to the same group. If I had more groups or decided to insert different form controls for different actions, then I would have needed to group these option buttons by selecting all of them and grouping them. But because on this spreadsheet I only have for these 3 buttons for one action, which is plotting the interactive plot. I don't need to group them. And let's see what happens. When I click on first one, what I can see in my cell, which is reference cell F1, I see that when I select the first one, number 1 is typed. When I select second one, number 2 is typed. And when I select my category 3, number 3 is typed. So this is also assigned as a reference of control for each of these options. Now I would be ready to start preparing my data. To start preparing my data, first of all, I would like to use the same headings, what I see in my table, and I will use, because I will be plotting interactive plot where I will show data on a single plot for specific category, number 1 or 2 or 3, I will just need to have item or stormwater description for each item. Then I might need quantity, so I will show the whole table: unit, rate, and amount. I will just copy format from here. Now what I need to do, I need to show my data for specific category, and for this I will choose filter function. Filter, and I need to show the table or array I'm choosing from, and this is the whole array because I will be showing specific list of all items belonging to a particular category. So this is my array from B4 to F20, and now I have to show from which time series I'm choosing this array, and this would be my category name. And this is my list of names, and my condition would be when this list of names would be equal to, for example, first category, number 1, sums and manholes, I would like to display all the items. And here I will be using if function. So when this list of categories is equal to if, and I type if my F1, because this would be in F1, equal to 1, and I know that if my F1 is equal to 1, it means that I need to choose sums and manholes. So I just type sums and manholes. Now, if my F1 is equal to, so I need to use another if within this if my F1 is equal to, I will type pipeline because this would be my second category, and if my F1 is not equal 1 or not equal 2, it will be my F1 would be equal to 3. Therefore here I can just type head walls and inlets. I don't need to have another if within this if. So I will just type head walls and inlets. And now close bracket for one if, close bracket for another if, and close bracket for a filter function, and press enter. And now my table is ready. And now I can create a dynamic chart. And I do this by plotting the data in the columns I need, which are stormwater description and amount. And I will use column bars chart. I will format this chart by increasing the font size and also by removing the axis, removing grid lines, and also adding labels and just changing the size of the chart area, that when I select different options or categories, all my data are visible. Now I can check if my chart is dynamic, and indeed it's dynamic. When I choose category number 2, the chart is updated, and when I choose category number 3, the chart is also updated. But what I notice that the chart is not complete, and 2 last rows are not shown on the graph, and I need to fix it. Unfortunately, Excel does not allow to enter a formula into the series values, and we need to think how we can fix it using other methods, and we will fix it by using name manager. We have to give name to each time series and then show here the name of the time series, and then the time series length will also be dynamic. Let's do this. To create a name for time series, I need to go to Name Manager that can be found on a formula sheet. And here I need to create two names for two time series. I click New. I start first with amount. I give it a name, for example, my amount, and then I could select this column. And to show the total column or all rows, I would use the dash key. However, I would also need to indicate that this amount column is associated with this stormwater column. Therefore, it would be better if I choose the whole range. Therefore, I will start from cell H4, and this would be the whole range. And I again use at the end dash key to say that this is the whole range. But now I have to tell Excel which column is my amount is. And my amount is in column 5 of this range. And to tell Excel this, I would use index function. Index function, I show the range, then I tell which rows I would like, and I would like to have all rows, therefore I skip this step. And now I tell which column, and this is column number 5, and I close the bracket. And this is the first name is created. I will just copy this, Control C, and then I need now to create another name. And this would be for my stormwater description. So I just call it my description. And again, I do here the same, exactly the same formula, Control V or paste. But now I have to change the column from column 5 to column 1, and I click OK. And now I close this. And now I can change my graph to have dynamic time series. And to do this, I just replace the formula here, replace for name of my time series, which is in this case x-axis is my amount, and for this I will choose my description. Please note you have to carefully delete everything except the spreadsheet name. In my example, the spreadsheet is SW, therefore please don't delete this and just replace this with the name of your time series, which is here is my description. And now let's check. This is updated automatically, and now let's check category number 3, if all rows will be plotted. And yes, indeed, as you can see, the plot is now fully dynamic and all rows are plotted. Only what's left to do is create a dynamic chart title. And chart title also can be dynamic to indicate for which category I plot my data. And to do this, I will just copy the formula which I created here, because we will need to tell Excel when to choose different category name depending on the value in cell F1. Therefore, I will just copy this equation, part of the equation, and I will use this in creating my title. The title could be taken from a cell, so we can have a formula in a title. Therefore, if I click here on a title, insert, and click on a cell where my title will be created, then my title will be fully dynamic. As you can see now, there is nothing here because this cell is empty yet. So now I can create the title, and here I will create the title, which would be my King Street Stormwater Extension, and here I will just add this if function. So if, for example, my F1 value is equal to 1, I would like in the title to have category name, which would be sumps and manholes, and so on. And I can press enter, and this is my title, as you can see, dynamically updated as well. I'm going to choose option 1, my title and the whole plot is updated. When I choose option 2, again, my title and the whole plot is updated. So now my chart and a table are fully dynamic and updated depending on which control button I choose. I hope you find this video useful. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Goodbye.